Welcome to Books I Make My Husband Read, a self-described hilarious and heartfelt podcast where I, Christy, the devoted book lover, curate an unexpected reading list for my husband, John.
And that's me. In each episode, we dive into lively discussions, humorous debates, and unexpected insights on all the books Christy just has to make me read.
We're here to explore everything from your book club favorites to quirky hidden gems, challenging our perspectives and inviting you to join in on the fun.
So, settle in, grab your favorite beverage, and get ready for another literary adventure.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 8 of Books I Make My Husband Read. I'm your host, Christy.
And for those that don't know me, I'm the husband. I'm John. I'm the one that Christy makes read all of these books.
Yes, I do. And I'm not even a little bit sorry about it.
No, you're genuinely excited about it.
Yes, I am. Well, today's episode is a little bittersweet because we are wrapping up Season 4 with our 7 books, multiple disagreements, and at least one identity crisis for John. And honestly, probably more emotional damage than I was expecting.
Yeah, you and me both. I was told this was a book podcast, not one that was going to become some like character analysis of my moral compass.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, good grief.
Before we dive in, we did want to let listeners know that this episode will be completely spoiler-free. So if you haven't read our 7 books from this season, don't worry, there won't be any spoilers. You'll just be longing to read all of them and then listen to all of our episodes afterward.
Yeah, true. And don't forget, you can keep up with us and our podcast and everything else by following us on Instagram, TikTok, our website, and of course, you can email us at booksimakemyhusbandread@gmail.com.
Well, normally at this part of the episode, we would do our spoiler-free book summary, but that is not needed for today. But can we just take a second to appreciate the range of books that we discuss this season? We had thrillers, classics, romance, literary fiction, and whatever category an emotionally intelligent alien rock falls into.
Yeah, damn, that was all in one season?
Yes. So we did The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and last but certainly not least, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
That's a hell of a list.
Yes. And this season, unlike other season, all of these books had film adaptations. So that was our theme this season. And the first few questions that we're going to discuss are, I want to focus like specifically on the book and not on the film. We'll have some questions later about the adaptations. So,
Okay.
Looking across all of these 7 stories, which one stayed with you the longest after finishing and why?
Coming out with the big guns right out of the gate.
Pew, pew, pew.
I think probably the one that landed the hardest and stuck with me the most after would be People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry.
Whoa! Tell me more.
I think what she was going through and her entire character arc and the like struggles behind the romance and the comedy were just like so front of mind and just hit a chord that it stuck with me well after the book, and still does, obviously, because I am just still talking about it right now.
Tell me something that happened in the book that maybe a situation comes up in your, I don't know, life right now that you think about it and think about what Poppy would do.
What would Poppy do? I think, I don't know if it's a specific instance, but a lot of it revolved around like career path and career trajectory and how driven she was to reach a certain goal. And then when she reached it, she didn't really know what to do next. Like there wasn't really like what was out in front of her after that, and trying to like find that next North Star or whatever. So I think that pretty much comes through in every day of my working life, um, which sometimes includes the weekends lately. So I I think about her character and the journey that she went on quite frequently. I don't know if that answered your question specifically enough, but
Yeah. See what happens when someone else picks a book for you?
what happens? I'm emotionally damaged.
I mean, yes, you're welcome. But also, I think that when you're only picking your own books, and I think we tend to pick up a lot of the same stories, and that's not certainly true for everyone, but I mean, I experience you different than you experience yourself. So I knew that would be one that would resonate with you given some of the things, you're talking about and you're going through career-wise, but it would be a book that you never would have picked up on your own.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
I
when
mean,
I
maybe
was
now you'd be reaching for Emily Henry because of this podcast in
yeah.
the future, but, "Oh, when's the next Emily book coming out?" I know you
Yeah,
felt that way about Abby's new book.
yeah, that's true. I have, and I'm reading it right now. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, before we started this, like my genre was thrillers and mysteries and like crime dramas and authors like Don Winslow and um,
There's so many Don Winslow books.
I know because yeah, I can't even remember half of them anymore because it's been so long since I've picked my own book to read. Um, But it's true, like, there's so many throughout this podcast journey that I never would have been exposed to, and so what about you, going back to the original question on, which of these books landed with you or stayed with you the most afterwards?
It's a little bit of a tough question because my gut says Project Hail Mary because that story is very new to me and something I just read for the first time as for the podcast episode, but Shawshank is a story I think about a lot and have over the years, but it didn't necessarily have maybe the impact in the moment because I had read it before, I had seen it before, like all those things. But Project Hail Mary is one that like it's the first time it's entered, my brain and I'm sitting with it and I'm thinking about like what those characters, are doing now and like yeah, what's going on there. So I just think that that's one that I don't know, it's lingered. I'm literally contemplating reading it again during the break because I was so excited about that story.
Oh, right on. I did, I mean, consider picking that one for my answer, but I also think partially because like recency bias
Yeah.
and it's like front of mind. But when I look at the whole list and I think back through the whole season, I'm like, no, that people we meet on vacation, that one
Yeah.
stuck.
And I remember having a very, very similar conversation during the podcast episode and then after you had finished it. So,
Yeah. So if people want to hear how emotionally damaged that book really made me, just go listen to episode 4 of this season and you'll hear all about it.
well, since part of this podcast is to get more husbands to read, which story do you think is the most accessible for someone who doesn't read often?
This is an interesting question because there are a lot of different genres in this short little list that you threw at me this season. So I feel like I could answer this a couple of different ways. I feel like I could say Project Hail Mary because it's so popular, and so there's like a FOMO almost, where it'd be like, this story
Yeah.
is everywhere. Like, let's be part of what's going on and read this.
Don't miss out.
Don't miss out. But there's a lot of science to it, and there's like a lot of things. So like, I think that could be a turnoff for someone who's not really like used to reading. It could like just fly over their head. So through that lens, I think the way I would answer, I realize I'm stumbling through this question. I think I would probably say Shawshank Redemption. I think that's the one I would probably recommend out of this list from this season specifically. And I say that because the movie is so well known.
Yeah.
I'm projecting and assuming that a lot of husbands and partners have probably seen the movie, heard of the movie, or something to that effect. Maybe not even known it was a book. I actually talked to a couple of people this past week when I was out in San Francisco for work that didn't know it was
Yeah, we
also a
talked
book.
about that on the show that a lot of people don't even know it's a book.
Yeah. I think I would just pick that one. But I like put a little asterisk next to that. And I might
It's
also,
also short.
yes, it's also
I'll
short.
add that.
True. Good point. But I think my runner up to that might actually be The Housemaid.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, those are the two I was gonna say. I don't know what you're gonna say about the housemaid, but I can only guess that for very similar reasons. But continue. That's just of course.
of course, we're not married. We haven't
No.
spent years of our lives together. I think the reason is it's a fairly easy read. It's in a genre that feels approachable, like a mystery thriller, whodunit kind of thing. There's not a lot of like sex or romance that could feel like scary to some who maybe aren't comfortable
Sex.
reading that. And it's a good page turner. So it's not an overwhelming read, and it was just kind of fun. So what do you? So if those are your two options, I might assume that they're reversed order, but tell me your reasons behind why you would choose either of those two.
I don't necessarily think they're reverse order. I would say they're probably the same order. Like Shawshank is a short book, it's novella length, it's a story that's popular. It very much follows the same story as the film, and a lot of people are familiar with it. And it's a good story.
Yeah,
You know, it's a really good story. So I think that there's that. I think the writing, I mean, it's by Stephen King, the writing is good. And then The Housemaid is a thriller. A lot of people, enjoy that genre,
genre.
but it's also the chapters are really short. So I think it feels like you can read it really quickly and you're not like slogging through these really long chapters, which I think is a turnoff for people who aren't readers, to be honest.
Yeah,
So,
I can
or,
attest to that.
yeah, don't identify as readers. So I think that there's that. It makes you want to turn the pages, just the way with Frida's writing. Like she does a really good job of ending a chapter, and you're like,
With a
damn
hook. Yeah.
it, I have to read the next one too. And then you
One
finish
more,
that
just one
chapter, and you're
more.
like, damn it, I have to read the next one too. So there's
Totally.
a lot of that, and it's a good story as well. I think it's probably her best story, and yeah, I just think it's a really, like you said, a really approachable book that if you don't currently read, that like would be easy to finish quickly, and it's not overly long either.
Yeah. Agreed.
Which book completely wasn't what you expected going in?
Probably either The Great Gatsby or Regretting You, I think would maybe be my answer to the question. Probably Regretting You. I think if I had picked, I'll say Regretting You because
Mm,
I had no idea. I had no context really of what that book was about. I've only read one other Colleen Hoover book, I think. And
two.
so that storyline and everything was just took me in a direction I just wasn't anticipating. So I'd probably say that one. What about you?
I this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe I'm going to say The Great Gatsby, because I think if you read The Great Gatsby at a surface level, it's not really about what people think it's about. And we talk about it. I'm not going to go into it here. We talk about that in depth on the episode. And I think even yourself, and I might even have a question that this might be your answer to, is I felt like you walked away with a different understanding of the novel after our discussion than when you finished it.
Absolutely.
So I think that there's just a lot of depth there. There's a lot of your favorite symbolism, and if you read it and you're like, okay, this is just like a story about the roaring 20s and this guy who is like dangerously obsessed with this woman from the past, then you're not getting at what the story really is about.
Yeah. Actually, hearing you say that, I might change my answer to that because I did. I
No
went
backsies.
into. Oh, okay. Never mind then.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
stuck with it. No, I'm just gonna basically repeat what you said. That when I went into that book, I thought it was more about the Roaring Twenties and maybe even just a love story. And yes, after our conversation, it wasn't necessarily after reading the book. It was after our conversation that my expect or like my point of view changed on the stories. But
Yeah.
I'll stick with my OG answer.
Okay. Who was your favorite character this season?
Oh man.
I know there's a few to choose
there's
from.
there's a few, but I think if I stay true to my answer to the very first question of what book stuck with me most, I think I'd probably say Poppy. Her character resonated. I thought she was just a well crafted character, funny, and yeah, I think I'd say Poppy. Now, I mean, there's plenty of others I could choose, but if I picked one, I'd probably say that. But there's so many. There's so
Yeah.
many. You can you pick one out of all of these characters from all these good stories?
No, I mean, I will. I'll probably pick Ryland Grace just
Yeah,
because I really like smart people, smart people, and have an admiration for people who have that type of intelligence that he portrayed in the book, but also balanced it with this humor. I found myself quite frequently laughing out loud during
yeah.
the book. So I really appreciated that. But
There was a humility to his intelligence and stuff too that I thought was like very compelling as a character.
yeah. And also, I mean, he's a character who's getting his memories back as the story goes along. So I think there's like this intrigue to his character as a story unfolds that like we don't know. And then, as you learn more, you just appreciate him in a different way. And I feel like feelings shift, maybe not change, but shift
Mm.
about him. And again, we talk about that in our episode and won't spoil it here, but I really enjoyed his character in the book.
Do you think we could blend those two characters and make a different story with Poppy and Riley and Grace? I wonder what that would be like.
Mm, I don't know.
There's probably copyright infringement somewhere in there.
Oh yeah, I mean we could write fanfic.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Perf.
yep.
In all of our free time. Hit me with your next shot.
Which book do you think we understood differently from each other?
Meaning, like we took something different away from the story, or we like understood
Maybe
characters
interpret it.
differently and
Yeah,
interpreted it.
any of
Yeah,
that,
that's
any
what.
of those things. Yeah,
Um,
you left with something different maybe than I did, or when I know we already touched on the Great Gatsby, but
yeah, definitely that one. My memory may not be the most up to date with this answer, but I feel
you
like our
you haven't you haven't backed up to the cloud yet.
yeah, yeah, I'm still
My
buffering.
memory's not up to date. I haven't backed it up lately. I'm not running on the latest iOS.
I had another
That's
moment
coming,
like
people. That's coming.
it is coming. I had another moment like that this week actually. It was Wednesday after like 2 full days of just like on-site working sessions, and I sat down at my desk and I was just like staring at my screen, and the VP came up to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just rebooting. Like I just needed a restart."
Hmm.
uh, anyway, so if I'm trying to recall back because we covered a lot in this season, but I feel like the episode on regretting you, there are a number of conversations that I felt like we took away different points of views or scenarios from that book differently from the characters. But I can't like I'm not recalling right now what exactly those were, but I feel like that episode we had a couple of like I had a point of view where you were just like, oh,
Thought about
I
that.
didn't take it that way, or I hadn't thought about it that way. I mean, that happens to me all the time with you. It was basically our entire episode on the Great Gatsby. I was like, I didn't think any of that shit. So,
You're like, what?
what? So, any of those, either of
The
those
green
two
light.
books, yeah, there was a green light. I thought it just meant like, look, there's a place over there.
The
It's the
Emerald
house.
City. The one that specifically I remember is from people we meet on vacation, where I said he fell first, and you like disagreed with me. You're like, no, she fell first,
Oh yeah.
and because they want different things. And I was like, no, what was his name? Tom?
Poppy and sure, let's go with Tom. That
It's
sounds like
not
a good white guy's
Tom.
name.
John. I have to look it up. Poppy. Alex.
So close.
Tom and Alex. Okay, Poppy and Alex. So I was like, no, Alex has been in love with her for years. Like, that is why him and Sarah actually keep breaking up. So, and you were not, I don't think you're still convinced that that's true.
That's right. I do remember that conversation. Yeah, I'm blurring the lines because those two stories were back to back. People I meet and regretting you. So maybe I'm like blurring the lines on those two a little
Yeah.
bit. But I'm sure there was conversations in regretting you that because those characters are pretty complex too, the daughter and the
Oh,
mother
I
and the
mean,
dynamic there. And so
well,
I remember us
not
taking some things differently there.
not the complexity, but the nuance of the situation. I mean, the layers of things that are going on there made
Yeah,
that story really complicated. So,
or complex.
yes.
Anyway,
All right. So, we've danced around this a little bit. And again, we don't want to provide any spoilers, but let's kind of shift the conversation because with every book that we discuss this season, we also watch the film adaptation. So let's kind of transition our conversation to think about the film as well.
okay.
So, which story do you feel like translated best from page to screen?
I feel a little biased in this answer because it's one that I saw before the book and it's
It's
such
the
a
right
fucking
answer.
classic. It's Shawshank Redemption. Like,
It's 100%. There is
just
no other answer.
there is no other
There is
answer.
no other answer for the 7 that we read. There were some ones, and we can discuss those that were good, but this is the correct answer for this question.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts why, though.
I was surprised at how true to the book the film was. And I think what I mean by that is we talked a lot this season in film adaptations and the different mechanisms that are needed to tell like an internal dialogue on film that it doesn't in the book. But the way Shawshank is written, just worked so perfectly for the book too. It was narrated. It was Red's point of view, and just and it's just such a good movie. I can't. I don't even know. I'm just speechless. The movie's so good. This is a terrible podcast episode. Um,
What?
I'm just rambling. I'm just
Oh,
rambling because I can't like formulate my thoughts as to why it's such a clear and obvious answer because I feel so biased by the film because I'd seen it first and I'd seen it
yeah.
dozens and dozens of times before the book. Anyway, uh, what are your thoughts on why this is the only right answer?
I think that the fact that most people don't know it's a book just show how good the movie is. And I've wondered this. Is it just Morgan Freeman's sweet, sweet voice that we feel
Such a connection.
why yeah, why his, voiceover in the film works? Like if it had been someone else, would we think it didn't work? Or are we so ingrained in like this is how the film is that it translated to us fine in the book versus we read a book, then see the film, and we're like, wait, it's not supposed to go like that.
Yeah, it's a good point because I did provide some thoughts on a couple of others where I was like, it shouldn't be a one for one for the book because it doesn't
Right.
work the same way in the film. But the way that book was, it was almost like the book was written for film because it was just so, it just translated so
Yeah.
perfectly to capturing that point of view and that narration and that story of Andy Dufresne. And it just, so good.
Yeah. So which adaptation felt the most different in tone from the book?
Regretting you. That movie was
Oh
terrible.
yeah. That was terrible. You're right.
It was so bad. It just missed the mark on so much emotional complexity from those
Yeah.
characters. That
It
was,
was so cheesy.
yeah, it just really, unfortunately fell flat.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't. I can't remember the last time where I paused a movie just to get up to the bathroom. I'm like, this is so bad.
Both of us were like, "This is terrible."
Oh,
It
we
was
pushed through.
it was like hard to watch
Yeah. It was that kind of
because the
cringe.
book is good and it was hard to watch.
Yeah. Yes, it was. So to answer your question,
Yeah,
it's
you're
definitely
absolutely
that
right.
one. Did
Yep.
you have a different answer before mine, or what would have been your answer before I answered?
I was thinking The Housemaid because I didn't like that adaptation. It just didn't it felt flat to me compared to how crazy the book is and how, I can like I don't want to say my heart was racing, but there's like a lot of moments in the book that I'm like, "Holy crap." And then on film, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. I know some people like it. I just didn't care for it.
Yeah, that was actually a runner up, I think, in my
Yeah.
answer to this one. Well, no,
Do you have another one?
most of them. I think most of the film
Yeah.
adaptations actually fell flat. To
Yeah.
be completely fair, some were slightly decent, but most of them were just like just couldn't capture the same kind of dynamics as what the book delivered.
All
Yeah.
right, let's move on though.
Moving on.
Which story had the most memorable characters overall? You can't say Poppy again. You'll
No.
carry her in your heart forever.
What's that from?
Nothing. I just said
Oh, you just
I
made
just
that.
I have
Just the way,
original thoughts.
just the way you said it, it sounded quotable, or that it was a quote. Most memorable character. Again, maybe with a twinge of recency bias, but I might say Rocky from Project Hail Mary, and the personality that Andy Weir gave it made me think a little bit of how Pixar could give inanimate objects personalities and
Yeah.
characteristics and things. And so I'd probably say Rocky is most memorable.
No. I
Amaze,
would agree
amaze,
with that.
amaze.
Amaze, amaze, amaze. Fist my bump.
You would agree with that?
I think that's my answer. I almost said like there's only one correct answer again, but I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, I think Red and Andy Dufresne are very memorable characters, and I
Mhm.
don't know if that's it has to be why partly that film is so good and has stood the test of time. But I mean, Jay Gatsby's a memorable character too.
True,
I
for
mean,
different reasons, but yeah.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then you can, give Poppy a nomination.
A little nod to Poppy.
I'm excited for this question. Which one would you turn into a series instead of a movie?
Ooh, I could probably answer that with a couple of them.
I think there's a couple. I
I
think
would
there's
agree.
some that are good as films, but I think that there's a couple that should be series.
I agree. I think the one probably that would have benefited the most from being a series would be The Housemaid.
100%.
And I'm pretty sure we
Even a
said that
mini series.
as soon as we walked out of the theater. We
Yes.
were like, this could have been a series, and been able to spend a little bit more time developing the backstories to some of these characters that played such a critical role in the decision making moving
Yes.
forward. And so I'll stick with that one. I'll say The Housemaid. What other ones would you have on your list?
I would say Where the Crawdad Sings could be a series.
Mm,
And I'm going to say Regretting You, even though I think it could be a film. It just needed different actors because I don't think that their
better
performances were very
directing.
good and better directing. Yes. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff that happens within the story. There's so many, moments and complex things. I think I don't want to say change the story, but added some things on film to make to make you wonder and think what you were feeling in the book in the film or series, which I don't think you got by watching what was produced. Does that make sense?
I think so. I'd want to ask you to clarify, but I think clarification would bring in spoiler potential. So
Yeah. I just think
let's not go there.
I'll say that there's I think that in order to get some of that, like, internal dialogue, they could have played out more of the scenes that happen in the book in different ways, and I think they probably would have had to embellish them differently than are in the book to translate it to film, but I think they could have done that, especially some of, like, the things that happened in the past. There's none of that in there's not a lot of that
in
in
the
the
film.
film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Which adaptation did you like the least?
Oh, regretting you. I don't think there's a question about that. Sorry. Um,
I mean, this is our podcast. You can say whatever the fuck we want. Get out of here.
because I'm sure Colleen Hoover's listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
and
No, I really doubt it. Who
I
knows? She
love the
might not
book.
like it either.
That's true. That's true. That's a great point. Yeah, I think hands down that one. But I was also really disappointed by um,
The
Great
housemaid.
Gatsby. Well, The
Oh,
Housemaid, but I was
yeah.
going to say Great Gatsby. But again,
We,
because I wanted something different from that movie.
yeah. We are in the minority on the housemaid because they're making book 2 into
I
a film
know.
also.
I know. Well, I mean, just because it made a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean everyone walked away
That's true.
enjoying it.
That's true.
So,
Although I did a fair amount on Bookstagram and Book Talk that people really liked it. I'm like, did we see the same film?
yeah. I do think, though, that it's probably, I got to imagine that there's a decent percentage of the viewers of that film hadn't read the book. And so they didn't have, I mean, we talked about it all season. It's just like, it's so hard to decouple when you've read the book and then go
Yeah,
watch the movie. You can't not draw comparisons or conclusions or look for flaws or gaps or things that were different. And I think people who maybe just went to see the movie probably had a very different experience.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
um, so there's that component to it too.
Okay. Favorite book this season and favorite film this season.
Okay, I'm going to tee this up by saying I'm just going to put Shawshank over on the shelf because that one doesn't even really count. That's been a, a favorite film of mine for a very long time. So like, I can't even put that in the running. It doesn't feel fair. So I'm just like,
You can put it in there running.
no, I'm just like, I'm crossing this one out
Okay.
of this question for me. So I think I would say then that they can't be the same, right? They can't
I
be the
mean,
book.
they can, but mine aren't the same.
Okay.
Just tell me your thoughts. There's no right answer on this one.
I think I really loved Project Hail Mary, but the book and the film. But I really enjoyed People Who Mean on Vacation, the book, not necessarily the film. So I think I would answer this question by saying, like, if they had to be different, I'd say I enjoyed People Who Mean on Vacation, the book, and Project Hail Mary, the movie, out of the options this season. But that's not to take away from how much I enjoyed Project Hail Mary, the book. I'm trying to make it different.
Yeah.
Is that a fair answer?
Oh, why would it be unfair?
I don't know. I'm just looking at your face.
I'm just saying that this is our 4th season. And I'm pretty certain that I've asked you this in 3 of the 4 seasons. Or sorry, 4 of the 4 seasons. And 3 of those times you've picked a romance as your favorite book of the season.
That's not true.
I'm pretty
Fine,
sure
I
it's
changed my
true.
answer. Project Hail Mary all the way. Book and film.
So manly. No, the rom-coms make you feel the things.
It's a genre that you have a certain perception about, especially as a dude. And then when you read it and you realize that there's so much more to it than just like, at least the ones you've had me read,
Yeah.
than just the romance and like the relatability of the characters and real life scenarios and tough topics that a lot of them are going through. Like those are the things that stick and feel
Yeah.
because they feel relatable. So
As the youth would say, hits different.
It hits different. Clock it.
I don't even know if I'm doing that right.
Oh my God.
I would say my favorite book is Project Hail Mary from the season, and then my favorite film is Shawshank. I don't
I
need to put
mean,
it on a shelf like you did. So
I get it. I totally like it. Just feels like such a no brainer that, and it's in such a league of its own that I just needed to take it out of the equation, or none of the other films would even have a chance. I feel like so,
yeah.
but
I
it's
mean, I
so
think
good.
Project Hail Mary, the film, is really good.
It's very good.
But
Next to
Shawshank
Shawshank,
is just a different type of story.
yeah,
I just don't know how. Like,
yeah,
there's so much there.
yeah. And Project Hail Mary, the film, it's a very close. It's next to Shawshank. It's the best adaptation that out of the
Agree,
season.
100%. Yeah, no, not
Like
even close.
no, not even a question.
All right, if you could only recommend one book from the season, what would it be? This is
Project Hail
hard
Mary.
because who are you?
It
It's like
is.
who are you recommending it to?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You have to kind of know your audience, but I think in general, if I'm looking at all of them, I would probably say Project Hail Mary, which I acknowledge contradicts my answer to what was my favorite book out of the season, which would one would assume that I would recommend my favorite book from the season.
I don't agree with that at
So,
all. I have read books that I have adored and have been my favorite books of the year, and I would not recommend them to everyone. And I definitely wouldn't recommend is like everyone needs to read this because they're stories that I really like. And often those require some open mindedness that not everyone
uh,
has. And I don't want someone to poo poo on what I think is wonderful and come back and like dislike it.
mm,
So I don't agree that like your favorite book has to be the one that like you would definitely like recommend.
that's fair. That's fair.
So I mean I think Project Hail Mary is my favorite book from this season. I think
Season.
that it'll probably be a favorite book of mine from the year. And I'll probably honestly read it again before the year's up. But I probably would say The Housemaid because I think it's just one of those. It's like easily digestible. I think
Mm,
thrillers are something that a lot of people enjoy. It's short chapters. Frida's writing is very approachable and easy, and things like that. So I would recommend that one because of that.
yeah, that's true. And you have, I mean, you've said before too,
Yeah.
it's you recommended that book quite a bit, especially from her.
Yep. Okay.
Right on.
What are you looking forward to in season 5?
The break in between season 4 and season 5.
No, that's not what the
Oh,
question is. That's the
damn
next
it.
question.
um, I don't know. Maybe like another healthy mix of genres like this season was. I don't think I've fully, until you listed them out at the top of the episode on how many different things you put in my hands this season. And I really enjoyed the varying lengths. I enjoyed like a classic mixed in there. So maybe a little bit more of that.
Do you want to read Pride and Prejudice next time?
I do not. Unless we want to cut this season
No,
to
thank
three
you, good sir.
books.
Not unless what?
Not unless we want to cut season 5 to like 3 books because that book is so
Oh,
long.
no,
Uh,
Pride and Prejudice isn't long.
what am I thinking of then?
Crime and Punishment?
Yes, that is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's like 1,000 pages.
uh,
Hey, it's not like you haven't made me read a 1,000-page book because you
uh,
have.
I mean, I didn't really make you. I just strongly suggested you should.
Just like I strongly suggest you should read these books and do this podcast.
Yeah, something like that. Uh,
Okay, so what's on your reading list during the break?
the only thing I have, which is another book that you've strongly suggested I read, is Abby Jimenez's most recent
Okay.
release.
Okay.
So, what?
I know that we are probably going to cover that in season 5
Yeah,
because we've done the last 3 from her,
but
but you wanted to read that one. Didn't admit it.
I, maybe,
You're
maybe.
like, honey, when's the next Abby book coming out? Did you get it yet?
Did you get it? All of a sudden, 3 copies sitting on the table with different covers.
I'm not that I mean, I know that I'm not judging people who have multiple, but actually I don't do that. I just need one copy.
Wait a minute. Time out.
Mhm.
I'm pretty confident that the Will of the Many, there were like 14 different versions that cycled through this house based on the cover that you wanted to have on your
Okay.
shelf.
That is correct, sir. There were 2, not 14.
I was
But
making a
it's
point.
because they changed the cover when the second one came out. So I got the updated one and I returned the other one.
Ah, there it is.
So I did not pay for 2. I have 1 on my shelf, and 1 and 2 match each other because I cannot have unmatchy things. And if you are a book person with a bookshelf, you understand that, and you are on my side on this one. I know it.
All right, then. What was the question?
What is on your reading list during
Oh,
the break?
yeah. So Abby Jimenez's latest, The Night We Met, which I'm in the thick of right now.
Take
And
me back
I
to the night we met.
oh yeah, that was a great talk about a series. That was a great series.
That was
I
a
don't
song.
know. I know that song, but the song from the
Oh.
series of the one with the teen suicide.
Oh, 13 Reasons Why?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That was the one. I don't know. I don't know what else. I might not read much more than that. We'll see what the next books in season 5 are, and then I'll probably read one of those during the break. So
Boring.
I know. I know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll pick something I want to read that's been on my TBR for since before we started this podcast and
Yeah.
pick that up. What's on your TBR during the break, dearest?
I already said I'm thinking about rereading Project Hail Mary again already because I just want to revisit it. And I did recently read The Martian, which I said I was going to do. So maybe I'll read his other book, Artemis, which isn't rated as well, but it's rated really well on Audible. So
Hmm.
maybe people just enjoyed the audio more than the physical copy. But I'm going to read Paige Harbison's new novel that comes out in the summer, and I have a copy of.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
excited about.
right on.
And I think I want to reread The Will of the Many and The Strength of the Few. Oh, I know what I want. I need to catch up on, or I need to reread the ACOTAR series because the books 6 and 7 are coming out in October and January, respectively. And it's been a couple of years since I read those, and I need to dust them off.
I think you should also read Dune so we can go
Oh
watch
yeah.
the series, the
Yeah.
movies.
That's actually a really good idea because I said last episode that I do really love science fiction. I just don't feel like
Don't
I
read enough
know
of
what
it.
to read. Yeah, I don't read enough of it because I feel like I don't know what to read. And I
Yeah.
think that that's one that obviously is very popular that I think I would enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe I'll read Dune with you. If you read it during the break, maybe that's one I'll read too.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Any final thoughts this season? Something you wish we had done differently?
No, I actually really enjoyed that we watched. It added an extra element to everything this season, but I enjoyed that we watched the film. I think I mentioned in the last episode, like I would classify myself as more of a film person than a book person, and so I liked that component coming into this podcast and talking about the two pieces. So if we did something like that again down the road, I would be open to that. But as far as the season goes, I appreciated the mix. I think it was a lot of fun to throw in a classic in there as alongside some of like the current stuff that's out. And those are my thoughts. Would you have done anything differently?
I'm glad to hear you say you enjoyed the film piece of it because it did feel like extra work
Extra
after
work.
there were a couple times where like we have to record, we haven't watched the film yet, you just finished the book. So there were a few episodes where it felt like we were scrambling, So I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it because it did feel like an extra layer of complexity. And then also the length of our episodes. There's a lot of extra
Almost an
recording that will
hour.
never see the light of day because we just didn't want our episodes to be an hour and 20 minutes and we
Yeah.
had to cut a lot. But
Yeah.
essentially, we were talking about two components. We're talking about the book in length and then we're talking about the film in length. So those episodes got really long. And I think that if we were to do another adaptation, or maybe we do a season where we do books that have been adapted to series,
Mm.
which is that's going to take a while too,
Yeah.
because now you're talking 4 to 7 episodes of something, and that could be, a long episode too. So
Okay, so if those are thoughts on this past season, what's on the list for the upcoming season in your brain?
well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm sure you are.
I'm just kidding. I have actually no idea. I know we will definitely do the new Abby book because I loved it. I think it's my favorite book from her to date.
Spoiler
I
alert.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
0 spoilers. I think that, you said you're halfway done with it. I think you're enjoying it, but I think you'll continue to enjoy it. And we have just had really good conversations with her last few books that we've had. And there's a couple authors that we've done in the past that have new books coming out this year that I think will be good for season 5 in the fall. And yeah, I'm gonna keep everything else close vest for now.
So basically what you're saying is you have no idea.
Oh, well, no, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say that at all. There's always a few that I have that I want to do. And then there's a few that I'm looking for books that are going to be released in the fall because ultimately they're just people are talking about them. People are excited
The
to.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Makes sense. Maybe on that point, maybe one other thing I'll add to something that I liked about this season is that there were different new authors thrown into the mix of this season.
yeah.
Like Emma Henry, I know we've done before, and Frida, but Stephen King, new author for us covering. So maybe keep that in your mind as you think of
This is
books
the
for the
first
upcoming
Colleen
season.
Hoover book we've done too. I've made you read other ones, but this is the first one we've talked about
Yeah,
on the podcast.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And Andy Weir is a new author
Yeah.
through me. So that's
Yep.
always fun, discovering a new author. So
Yep. Well, we want to remind everyone that we will be taking a break, but we will come back to you in the late summer with season 5. You can still follow us on Instagram and TikTok for updates and possibly some bonus content.
woo, bonus content. BTS behind the scenes. Don't forget that a free way to support our show is by leaving us a review, rating us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're listening. But also, if you don't feel like rating us because you're just not that kind of person, that's okay. But if maybe you have a question for
It's
us,
really not.
or you you have a book that you're like, oh, I'd love to hear your thoughts on XYZ, you can run it through Christy by emailing us at booksImakeMyHusbandRead@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you with either recommendation or feedback on the show.
Yes, we would. Well, I guess that's it.
Indeed. That is another one in the books and another season wrapped up.
Well, who knows? Maybe this will be the one your husband reads or
Which
listens
one? We
to
talked about 7 of them.
or watches. Take care.
Okay, see you later, folks.
See you next season.
Bye.
Peace out, Billy. Here's my bump.
Boom.